Peace to all those who are in the know. We are the Real HD Show. That's right. We are prime time with the purpose. Don't get nervous. We're going below the epidermis. My name is Vic. You are welcome to an hour and a half, 2 hour ride that's going to provide awareness so you can move fearless. We are the Real HD Show. Stands for the higher discussion, where we discuss the good, the bad, the ugly, but we heal it with freedom music. That happens 7:30 to 8 o'clock. You can jump on back. You can get involved with the call letters, which is here. I'm not changing them during this season. So you guys can always join the show with uh, StreamYard /86T5WD4IIG. And you put it up in your URL box. I bring you up from backstage. You can use an avatar. You can be live with me as long as we hear your audio and we can kick it back and forth. You're good to go. You can join the show. Speaking of joining the show, when you do, make sure you are sharing, and subscribing. Turning on your comments and sharing this so that every time we have a Real HD show, you too could tap in and have a higher discussion with us. You know what I'm saying? Because that's important. That's what all of this is about. That's why I do what I do. That's why I come to you every Wednesday night. It used to be Mondays, but now I'm coming to you every Wednesday night with that good for the hood. And I hope you join, and I hope you correspond and ready to build with me. Um, like every other Wednesday, we're gonna bring you that, awareness to move fearless in our neck of the woods. And I hope you join us to do the same. Um, we have been celebrating, and we're at the start of Original Peoples History Month, commonly known as Black History Month. Carter G. Woodson started this holiday to pay homage to those with greatness that came before us, and then those who are contemporaries that are doing exemplary things so that we can build a positive future. So let's get into something right now. Here we go. That's right. We are celebrating Original Peoples History Month. You never heard it quite that way. Yeah, we are celebrating Original Peoples History Month on the Real HD Show, kicking it off first episode. Why waste any time? Here we go.
Counting of celebrating Black history. And as Black Americans, we continue to rise. Our past connects to the present and drives our future, building on our legacy. Black heritage.
Wells, and I'm here with the Congressional Black Associates celebrating the 100th anniversary of Black History Month. So we're going to go around and ask a couple of our staffers what Black History Month means to them.
Hi, my name is Isaiah Simpkins.
I am Giovanni Ayers.
My name is Sydney Montgomery.
Hi, my name is Rylan Gray.
Hi, my name is Pax, and if I had to describe Black History Month in one word, I'd say community.
Resilience.
One word, it would be excellence.
Joy.
Ancestry. Hi everyone, my name is Peyton Brooks, and Black History Month means to me joy.
I believe it's important to look back and honor what our ancestors have done for us and our forefathers, and to know that the job isn't finished.
And I want to leave you with this. Great men and women are only born for the time that they are needed the most. Happy Black History Month, y'all.
3, 2, 1. Excellent. Thanks very much.
All right. So there you have it. Black History Month, Original Peoples History Month. Because before we were called Black, we were the original stewards of the planet. So we are celebrating the Original Peoples History Month because our story doesn't stop at, the peculiar institution, the chattel enterprise. It goes way before that. centuries, eons before, forever, ever, forever, ever. But it was cool to hear that we're celebrating 100 years of it, what that means to us. And that's why I bring these forums to you so that we can meet, we can congregate. You guys can look at the videos, you guys can timestamp your what you liked about the episode. You guys can get back to me with your comments and your concerns. And then we can have a higher discussion about how we see Black History Month. It's interesting. I was very, happy to see so many young people out there, getting it in, well dressed, well verbed, their nomenclature was very, very good. And they're out in the public celebrating Original People's History Month, right? Um, and they made it very personal. They added a lot of personage to Black History Month. I didn't hear much about the ancestors. I didn't hear much about what people contemporarily are doing. I didn't hear what we wanted to do in the future. I just heard how it made them feel. And that's fine. But we got to be more than our lower selves. We got to be in our upper register. We got to be bigger and better and broader and more enlightened. And if you're going to be the CBC Congressional Black Caucus juniors, then that means you also have an obligation and a duty to lead the people, to lead our people through this particular government. If you're going to represent us in this particular government, and I would have liked to hear a bit more about them be a bit more detailed about what Original People's History Month means and some of the triumphs and tribulations that we currently go through um, in lieu of Original People, Black People's History Month. Dope, and we're going to be celebrating it all month and beyond. You know my get down. I celebrate it every time I put on an episode. That's why I have an elders and ancestors blueprint that we're currently working under right now. We're in a elders and ancestors moment. You know what I mean? Because it was a great day a great day in jazz in Harlem, and it was a great day in hip hop in Harlem. So we have that continuity, that through line, right? So it's nothing new under the sun. It's just how we honor each other with love, respect, and tradition, leaving the earth a little bit better than how we inherited it, right? So that, to me, that's what it all boils down to. You guys can tap in, let me know what it boils down to for you. And as always, I got a goodie for you, a Black History moment, if you will. This is an ancestor from my family's home island of Trinidad, Henry Sylvester Williams, and he had some original things that he did. And you're probably not going to hear about him in your average Original People's History Month, but you're going to hear about him here on Higher Discussion. Here we go.
And think, why did y'all hide him? Because before Garvey, before Malcolm, before Pan-Africanism became a movement, there was Henry Sylvester Williams, a Trinidadian lawyer who looked at the entire diaspora and said, "We're not separate stories, we're one struggle." And he was saying that in 1900, and we were never supposed to know he existed. He was born in Trinidad under British colonial rule, a world obsessed with hierarchy, race, and proximity to whiteness. Then he lived in places like Grenada, Nova Scotia, and London. And everywhere he went, he saw the same thing. Black people facing the same oppression under different accents, different governments, different excuses, but the same structure. He didn't romanticize it, he recognized it. And before activists even had the language for it, he understood the truth. We're not scattered, we're connected. By the late 1890s, Williams had an idea that nobody else was bold enough to try. What if Black people from all over the world met in the same room? Not to survive, but to strategize. So he founded the African Association in London, and then he organized the first Pan-African Conference in 1900. That's decades before African independence, decades before the big leaders became global names. He didn't coin the term Pan-African, but he's the one that turned it into a political movement. At that conference, he brought together Africans, West Indians, Black Americans, and Black Britons, putting colonialism on trial in the middle of the empire itself. People think he was just a thinker, but no. He became a barrister in London, then practiced law in Southern Africa, defending Africans caught under racist colonial laws. And then he ran for public office and won. In 1906, he became one of the first Black men elected to public office in Britain. From that seat, he pushed the British government to confront its own empire from the inside. Williams didn't live to see the world he imagined, though. He died in 1911, before independence movements, before decolonization, before Pan-African Congresses became global institutions. But everyone who came after him, Padmore, Du Bois, Garvey, and Nkrumah Kenyatta, pulled directly from the foundation that he built. He didn't create a moment, he created a mindset. Henry Sylvester Williams didn't choose fame. He didn't need a crowd, he didn't need a spotlight. He connected the diaspora before the diaspora knew that it was supposed to be connected. He's the quiet architect behind the idea that Black freedom is global, not local. Some revolutionaries light the fire. Others draw the blueprint for the whole matchbox. He was the blueprint. Say his name. Henry Sylvester Williams. You ever learn?
Fire. Fire bun. Let's go. Henry Sylvester Williams. So you got the contemporary to him would be like a Noble Drew Ali, right? And both of those gentlemen were on the planet trying to make knowledge be born and working for freedom, justice, and equality for our people before the Malcolms, before the Garveys, before the Du Bois, before the Martins, right after the Harriets and the Bass Reeves of it all, trying to connect the spider web, and you can topple a mighty elephant if you are connected and your web is strong. So that was Henry Sylvester Williams, the architect, one of the architects, because there was another one in um, Algeria, right? But one of the grandfathers of Pan Africanism or Pan original people, right, all over the globe. Um, and we need to give him his flowers in our 100-day, 100-year celebration of Original Peoples History Month. Yeah, man. So we're here. We're getting into it. We're doing it on the Real HD show. Let's jump right into our AAT report. Here we go. Yeah, we are in the middle of an AAT report. Happy, wealthier, and wiser for a brand new you, because we need cell power, anything under the air, on the land, under the sea, that will make you happy and healthy. We will cover. We will try to do that. And we won't try. We will. We will do just that. So let me clip something, and then I'll bring it directly to you. And we can get started. Let's see. So it's a really great, article in lieu of our celebration of 100 years of Original People History Month. And we want 100 more, and 100 more, and 100 more. And I believe we can get there. I believe we can do that. I believe that's possible. Uh, you all have to believe it's possible, though, you know? And the way that we're going to do that is first examining this particular idiom here for health. And it's about the cognitive benefits of singing. Patch Adams, right? Anybody ever saw or was involved with the the show with Robin Williams? He did the Life and Times. He acted as Dr. Patch Adams. And he believed that through music, singing, and laughter, you could heal the human body. And that is actual factual. And here's why. Here we go. So the first one they say is that singing, and this is from the Neuroscience Institute that is connected to the CDC, Center for Disease Control, right? One of our health institutes in the country and our health authorities. So it says it enhances memory recall. Learning music lyrics strengthens the memory circuits and retrieval pathways in the brain. Okay. Two, it may delay brain decline. So singing delays brain decline. Regular brain management reinforces the brain's cognitive reserve, which helps to protect the brain from damage. It supports long term memory. Singing engages the hippocampus, the brain region critical for forming and storing long term memories. That's right. That's why songs live on in your head, not only because you remember the lyrics, but they're also kind of associated with a day and a time and a nostalgia and a memory, good or bad or in between, helps you that way. It also improves neuroplasticity. Singing encourages new neural connections. This helps the brain to adapt to new challenges more efficiently. Okay. Singing also reduces stress and anxiety. Singing releases endorphins, oxytocins, and lowers cortisol levels, stress hormones, right? Protecting brain cells, promoting emotional balance. There you go. We all need that right about now, right? Reducing brain inflammation. Singing reduces stress, lowers harmful inflammation that can damage neurons, motor neurons, right? Increases oxygen flow to the brain. Deep breathing during singing delivers oxygen to the brain, boosting alertness and energy. And lastly, it strengthens reward circuits. Singing releases dopamine, the reward neurotransmitter, which reinforces positive brain activity and learning. Fire, fire, fire. Let us know what you think of singing. Is singing a big part of your life and a big part of what you do? Do you get up in the morning and sing? Do you sing in the shower? And especially, these things are especially important for melanated people because of the carbon diamonism in melanin. You allow that synapse jump, that electricity jump that happens in the brain and in the cells when the cells are electrically motivated through singing. So, once again, tap in. Let us know how you begin your day or in what way you start singing and why you sing. Is it church? Is it because you're happy? Is it because your favorite song is on the radio? Is it because it takes you back to a certain place and space and time? Let us know what you think and why you do your singing thing. Once again, we are in an AAT moment, AET Health Report, and we're going to jump right into this. Boom. Okay, so the minority births make up the majority in the US for the first time, study finds. And this is out of, what was this again? Eyewitness News. So you can go on the Eyewitness News website and you can read the article that they have on this particular idiom. And it's kind of an oxymoron. If if minorities are the majority, should we still be called minorities? No. So there you go. That's that duh. That's that dope. That Homer, right? That Homer Simpson. When you know you did something stupid and said something stupid and put out a stupid comment or comment that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, you gotta do a dope and slap your forehead like Homer Simpson because you know you said something stupid that made all kinds of nonsense. You know what I mean? Stupid on 2 feet. So, but nevertheless, the important part about this is that melanated babies are outnumbering white born babies as of today in the United States. And honestly, this is not new news. Like, this is kind of like the pendulum swinging full circle. We out a lot of melanated people during the peculiar institution. We outnumbered a lot of Caucasian people then, and now we're outnumbering them once more. And they knew this. This has been forecasted for about maybe 5 or 10 years. As of today, or as of when they reported on this finding. So this is nothing new. What's interesting is, what do we do about it? So now that we have a statistical advantage and that and people power, how do we use that? How do we take advantage of it? Um, and it's very pivotal that we're celebrating 100 years of Black History Month, um, and finding out these factoids. Now it depends on us. What are we going to do to make these things stick? To make these things become an overall advantage, an overall power play, a strategy, if you will, so that we can be greater and more developed toward the greater half of this century. So let me know at home what you think we can do with this power play of more births being, you know, claimed or being, logged for the melanated community of America. Of course, that means a lot of things. Politically, that means things. Socially, that means things. Financially, that means things. Um, a lot of it is, are we going to repeat the same mistakes of years past, even though we have the numbers? In terms of, let's just take Vanguard, for instance. Everybody is going crazy over ICE right now, right? So now that everyone is going crazy over ICE and we actually have the born numbers against them, of course, they have the firepower, but we have the raw numbers. How do we start to formulate Vanguard so we can protect ourselves and protect the things that we create and we have agency over, and just protect our families in general? Also, are we going to repeat the efforts of the last 2 centuries and just be, a natural resource for Caucasian people to exploit? And our efforts and our 9 to 5 work and soil and toil abilities, our sweat equity, are we just going to be there for them to siphon off of and be a succubus to us? Or are we going to marshal, steward, and captain our own ships and move things in a way that will, manifest our destiny in this Western Hemisphere? Or do we leave the Western Hemisphere as a total group and go, you know, set up in another country with the know how, the skills, the technology, the manpower, that we have? Very pivotal questions, I'm not saying we're supposed to answer them all here, but I have the questions. You know what I'm saying? And of course, Tucker Carlson was made famous on that whole, replacement scarcity show on Fox News that he did, where he pretty much predicted this or forecasted, and now it's here. And ever since then, a lot of those folks have been scrambling to make ends meet that way. I mean, in Russia, they had Boys to Men and R. Kelly and all kinds of, American groups come on out there to try to support them and get their people to have and make babies. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to touch each other out there in Russia. And in Europe too, Italy is below, everywhere on the planet is below replacement levels for them folks. But we outnumber them now in births in the US. So that time is now. The time is here. You know what I'm saying? So, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Lastly, or do I want to get into that now? Or should I save that for Power to the People news? You know what? Let's not do that now. Let's save that for Power to the People news. But if anybody wants to get on and talk and, chop it up about how, our babies are now the majority of the country. And another thing to be very cognizant of or aware of, right, is not all, not everybody would, not everybody is down for the cause the way you would believe they're down for the cause. You know what I mean? Everybody with skin ain't in. Everybody ain't really for you the way you believe they are. They may come here and take advantage of the, civil rights amenities and benefits, but they're very much concerned with their own motivation and progress, not so much of black people here. And that may or may not be their fault, but they may be very concerned with their own prosperity, even though they're melanated. We see that in some of the immigrant population that come over, and they're not exactly united with melanated people that are born and raised here. And then you also see that with some prosperity preachers who would advise their congregation and people that follow them to overindulge in capitalism and not really helping them to understand the vices of money, the vices of economics, and the power and vanguard behind capitalism. It's not enough to make the money. You have to be able to protect the institution that your money creates, the idea, the intellectual property. So, we can have that conversation as well. If somebody wants to jump on and let's talk about it, let's chop it up. This is the higher discussion here for you to get it in that way. If you want to jump on, as before, StreamYard.com, 86T5, WD4, IG. You put it in your address bar up top. I see you backstage. I bring you up. And we talk about whatever's cooking at the moment or anything you want to talk about on the show. We are here for you. We are the Real HD Show crew. Well, keeping it moving, right? We would like to get into a Lit City Report. And a Lit City Report is the wild, the wacky, the wonderful things that make our world go round because we need cell power. Sorry about that. The wild, the wacky, the wild, the wonderful things that make our world go round because we need levity, right? Because sometimes we deal with all of these really crazy issues on the show, and we want to make sure that we're dealing with things that will make us happy and bring us joy, like the young people said in the video earlier. And I wanted you guys' opinion on something. So y'all stay tuned. I'm going to jump in my back office real quick and come on back. And then you guys stay tuned real quick. I'll be nothing but 4 seconds and I'll come back up. All right, we are back. Real HD Show. Had to take a break for a minute, go back, fix some things, and bring the show back to you. Here we go. All right. So we're in the middle of a lit city report. The wild, the wonderful, the wacky things that make our world go round. And we are going to check out something for our original People's History Month. And let's check this out right here. Here we go. I'll show it one more time. That's right. You saw it there. You saw it there. Ringing loud and true. Black History jerseys coming right to you, sold in Walmart. Now, that brother particularly didn't like it. He didn't like it. He thought that that was like almost like an appropriation. Matter of fact, I think there needs to be more of that. I think that needs to be more in the selling or brand consciousness of what America is all about because, our contributions to the American landscape, whether it be inventions, culture, science, art, music, you name it, we put our stamp on it, and this country benefited from it over the last 500 years. So, with that being said, and the reason I said five is because I know we're going to do it leading into the rest of the century. So, would you not mind, or do you mind, or do you think it's cultural appropriation if they put Black History Month or black jerseys of our icons for sale in, you know, supermarket or department store chains, the J.C. Penney's, the Macy's, the Targets, the Walmarts, and sold them? Um, I think it gives permanent tradition and placement to our ancestors and their super contributions on this planet. And I would try, see, I would try to work out a way where the creators of those jerseys, because I know that didn't come from white folks, not in large part. That was somebody black trying to put that on, and they got a little, like Tabitha Brown, they got a little Walmart contract to put to in placement in some of those Walmart stores. So that's probably how that wound up there, because white people aren't just going to do that on their own. They don't have enough moxie for that or creativity. So we would just try to make sure that the retailer, the entrepreneur, the proprietor got their full credit, got their full money, and that we could place those things in as many outlets and in many spaces and places as we can. Shit, have them in TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and Burlington, where everybody goes to get their cheap stuff nowadays. Have it everywhere, you know, but not don't just stop at uh the kind of iconicized American heroes, right? The Harriets, the Martins, the Mayas. Go deeper. Really go there. Really tell the stories. Show the John Henry Williams of the world. Put that on the show. Put that on the shelf. Put that on the jersey. You know what I mean? Talk about the Black Jack Johnsons of the world, you know? Let's talk about all of the things that black people have done to make America great. You know what I'm saying? Um, let's see. There was a clip I wanted to show you guys. I just want to make sure it's here, family, while we are moving along. Hmm, wasn't that? So it must be this one. Let's see. I was trying to give us another Black History moment, but I'll find that particular clip and put it up for you and show you all of the things going on with Another one of our ancestors that we can really give some praise and exaltation to. Um, right about now. Okay, cool. So we were in the middle of a uh, lit city report, and now we are moving on to power to the people news. Power to the people news. Wait, what just happened? This just happened. So just like yeah, I'm on it. Please don't call me now. I'm on the show. Sorry, I hate when people try to call me when I'm in the middle of the show. I'm in the middle of the show, folks. Just leave me a message. So make sure that you um are concerned. You know what? Here's what I wanted to say. Don't want to have scatterbrains. So we're talking about 100 years of Black History Month. And I wanted to bring up a book that, and I hope you guys can see this. hmm How long till Black Future Month? And this kind of goes hand in hand with what I've been describing. MK Jameson, really dope book, really dope ideal for what we're talking about now, celebrating the 100 years of Black History Month. Hey, brother Mozzie, what's happening there, bro?
Oh, chilling, man, chilling.
Yeah,
Trying to
man.
get on, make sure I get here in time.
Yes, sir. We were just showing this book here, MK Jameson. How long till Black Future Month?
Okay.
Yeah, so go check her out. Dope author. She has some dope concepts. This is like a docu-fiction um, that she wrote about, what we could do in the future to make Black History Month and make our future bigger, brighter, and more full and more fully developed. What do you think, bro? Why do you think that this is on repeat for us? And in large part, a lot of us are not kind of thinking more and being more elastic in the way that we think of our past, present, and future.
Laziness.
Ooh, let's talk about that.
We are.
Let's go there.
We are socially, I would say ethno-socially lazy. We're intellectually lazy. And we are lazy when it comes to believing in what we believe in and then getting involved in the activities and doing the work around what it is that we believe in.
Okay. Oh, do you think people believe that it will interrupt the microchip, the home training that they have for what they believe in? The good Christian values, the good book values, the things that are safe, the things that are comfortable.
Well, I think our religious institutions have done a horrible job on promoting that thing, promoting blackness to us. They tell us to stay away from that black stuff.
Yes.
But part of it is our religious institutions tell us that because once we go black, we never go back, which means we become more critical of our churches, and a lot of us walk away from the church, and they don't want that.
Yeah.
And I think, if we really get a true understanding of Christianity just in terms of the philosophy, I think it can benefit us. But the problem is we don't have a liberation theology. We have a slave theology.
For sure.
And I'll for example, my Korean friends I went to college with and stuff like that. One of the things my really good friend, I remember going to church with her one Sunday. She lived over in Sheepshead Bay, And I remember going to a Korean church. Everything in that Korean church was Korean. They had a Korean Jesus on the wall. They had little Korean angels on the window. Everything was Korean. Period. So they were practicing liberation theology, a theology that benefited them. And so they had no problem then with who they were as Koreans, because even that thing, religion, and once you say the Almighty is you, we don't do that, and we're afraid to do that. Even when our people go to some of these seminaries and they read this stuff and they know darn tootin' well it don't make no sense, they just accept.
Okay. So you saying basically changing images of Naim Akbar, changing images of psychological slavery, right? We're just battling with that whole piece and carry it over from generation to generation.
Yeah. And I think also too, man, when you throw Neely Fuller in the mix, when he talks about the 9 areas of human activity, we just don't engage ourselves in anything related to us.
Right.
In any area of activity of human existence. And a lot of that has to do with indoctrination. But for those of us who do know, we don't want, we go far enough to put the word out there. But what we find is when you don't have the backing of the people who look like you can't go all out.
Right.
You can have in the Jewish community a Mayor Kahana who can walk into a room full of everybody, point out black folks and said I liken them to animals, and nothing happens. Why? Because he knows bread's still gonna get buttered by his people. We don't have that.
Oh, so you mean like this here? Power to the People News. House Democrat.
17 years in prison.
McGivern faces up to 17 years in prison, allegedly for clashing with ICE during an oversight visit to the Newark Detention Center ICE facility. Yeah. So, you want to be a part of this, and you're doing what the mandate of a congressperson that's supposed to be a vaunted position in this land, right? You're supposed to be respected. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to have immunity, right?
Yep.
And we'll see that even in those rungs and those levels of society and movement, you're still not respected in the same way, valued in the same way, treated with the same equity. Your thoughts about what's going on with this sister? She was supposed to be doing a routine visit, oversight, which is what Congress is supposed to do. They're supposed to tour in groups and go, see how the money is being spent, the tax dollars, right? And wound up getting into a fight with ICE over them roughhousing her, right?
Well, I guess the question I would have is, did she go in there with the black girl magic and the black girl attitude, or did she just show up and made an observation?
Yeah, see how it all sparked off and how it all jumped off. Do I have that video? I'm not sure if I clipped it or not. It might have been too long for me to clip, but the point was what they're debating about her in her trial is whether she was the antagonizer or or was she responding or in just acting in self-defense. When we know these dudes we know these race soldiers are put on the street to kick shit around and make people react. We know that.
Right.
That's their mandate, and they want to get as many people as they can get caught up. Because, like I showed last week, they're building more and more ICE detention centers and jails, and having the Fortune 2000 invest in the prison industrial complex of all of these new detention centers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there that is. You know what I mean? You take what was a subjugative, I guess, ethno savage inequality, and now you're bringing it to the masses. It only pertained to melanated people at one point, and now everybody's under that umbrella at this point. Very interesting stuff, man. Very interesting stuff. So I just thought that piggybacked on what you were just talking about. Good, bro.
Yeah, and we have to. Unfortunately, I hate to look back at the civil rights movement, but there are certain aspects of the civil rights movement that we have to kind of maybe take lessons from.
For sure.
And one thing that we do know, given this current ICE situation, one, I would not go in there unless I know that I am protected. I don't want to be nowhere near those folks.
Yes.
So it deals with us now, once again, understanding how all this stuff plays out and being smart. I'm not going to go there with a cadre of white people. I mean, a cadre of black people, and I'm the only black, and we have no coverage. We need news. We need the news there filming what's going on, or somebody videotaping what's going on, and we need to walk with individuals from the prison, the detention center, the local sheriff, or whomever. We need to have that happen because I know ICE has been given carte blanche and the green light to do whatever the hell they want to do.
Right.
I mean, the reality is the guy shot the white lady, and when she drove, and as the car kind of went off to the side, you hear him say, "That bitch, fucking bitch." So you knew he meant to shoot her.
Yeah.
I don't, from the video they show with the white guy, looks like, they took the gun off of him and then shot him point blank.
Yeah.
I don't know what they want us to see differently. And the sad thing is we know and we see this and we don't react to it.
So there was a high school down in Texas, right? And I didn't get this video, but I'll talk about it with you now. And there was an ICE agent that wasn't on duty. And when the parents come to pick up the kids after school, and they have like the car procession.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a high school. So it was a little girl, and she's out there lone wolf. Nobody's with her, right? And she's protesting against ICE on her own accord. No, she's not bothering anybody. She's just walking in a circle like the little drummer boy, right?
Mm-hmm.
This yahoo gets out of his truck, runs up on her, and mollywops her to the ground. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the entire high school body beats his ass.
Oh, damn.
The entire student body put a foot in him. Peace, Rue. What's going on, bro?
Peace. Everything is all right, family.
Yes, sir. So we were talking about an incident with ICE in Texas, where a young lady who's in high school, I don't know what year she was, I don't know her name, but she was solely protesting with an ICE sign up. She's on her little drummer boy, right?
Yeah.
Based on the locale and the people and what have you. And this undercover ICE agent, or off-duty ICE agent, if you will, jumps out of his truck and mollywops the little girl. There's a white girl, right? Just destroys her. And he's dragging her through the yard, through the high school front, the high school, perimeter. and the whole student body beats his ass.
Oh, they got him. That's
The
good.
whole student body jumps on him and just whoops his ass. I mean, it was like ants on him.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's excellent that they got at him. You
yeah,
know?
they got at him hard body, and then first it was girls. It was a bunch of girls that jumped at him, and then some fellas rushed in. And once the fellas rushed in, I don't know if it was like some athletes or some bigger, stronger
Yeah.
kids, but once the guys got involved with it, it was a wrap.
Yeah, that's excellent that they or in that instance, I wouldn't just advise people to just run up on these clowns that probably are not even you could kind of see these people that are so-called ICE that's covering their face and all of that.
Right.
Because I notice there's a bunch of them that cover their face and then there's a bunch of them that don't. And from what I could see so far, the ones that don't actually are more seasoned. They have more knowledge, of who they are and the system. Whereas those who are covering their faces, they're probably newbies and rookies and don't have no real experience. You
Exactly.
could see how some of them they can't even handle themselves. They have no combat skill really. They just got a badge. And
Yeah, so like Brother
mhm,
Mozzie was talking about, we have to find ways of like we always talked about Vanguard, ways of protecting
mhm,
ourselves and arming ourselves. Because we were talking about this sister who's a congressman, and she went into an ICE detention center in Jersey, and instead of doing what she was detailed to do as a congresswoman, which is
mhm.
oversight of the facility and how the tax dollars are being spent, distributed, and utilized. She got into a physical altercation with them because, of course, they wanted to, tell her, how fast to go and how high to jump. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Even though she's their boss, technically,
right,
but of course they didn't respect her for a number of reasons.
right,
We don't have to go into all of them. If you know, you know.
right.
And we had that incident right there, and she's facing 17 years in prison
For what?
for the
What's her charge?
altercation. For the altercation of it's she has a misdemeanor, she has an assault charge, and she has something else. I just think they're making I just think they're making a example of the
Yeah,
sister.
because you got to be kidding me. I mean, she has a misdemeanor, which is minor infraction, and assault. I don't assault on a police officer.
Right.
There's people who have assaulted police officer and actually, did them dirty and didn't have no 17 years and no prison. Like this stuff, you could clearly see. I firmly believe Trump has money invested along with other um, whales or bigwigs in ICE itself,
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Just like how Prescott Bush was part of CIA,
Hmm.
and his father actually had put money up to start CIA. He was one of the funders of it. Um, all these people, these types of people, I call them aristocrats. All the aristocrats, they get security firms, and this is just another one. Yeah, they're border patrol, and yeah, they're police or whatever, but at the end of the day, whether private or public, there's still a company and somebody owns it. Somebody
Well, let me
started it, you
Well,
know?
well, 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 let me talk to the two of y'all, because I always have something on my mind when it comes to ICE and these exaggerated police powers, and maybe Brother Mozzie can also help me with this. The police powers are born out of the 10th Amendment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I bet you if we went down, I bet you if we went down the ledger of the 10th Amendment, we'll find all kinds of ways that they're exaggerating these police powers so that they would effectually be illegal in what they're doing and how they're pursuing it. What do y'all think? What do y'all think about the whole uh, abuse of the 10th Amendment? And do these amendments mean anything if you can exaggerate them like so at your whim, at your convenience?
Mm-hmm.
And within the 10th Amendment, the one of the more famous lines is powers not reserved for the federal, the state are reserved for the people.
Well, I see it as this: the true government, which is the people, have been sacked years ago,
Mm,
and this system is built on slavery, white slavery, red man slavery, black man slavery, yellow man slavery. If we're gonna go by colors,
mm,
all these different nationalities built this said nation USA, and it was
mhm,
all on somebody who had an advantage, whether it be financial or physical, and abused others to do the work.
mhm,
And what we're seeing now is what I call the end game. It comes like this. It's almost like in your body when your immune system attacks itself. It's over. You know, it's over. It's just a matter of time. And we knew the fall of America been coming.
mm,
And now they're at the last stage. They're attacking their own people. Why? Because in times before they couldn't have, because they needed them. Now the
mm,
aristocrats don't need them no more. They just showed them like, hey, guess what? You got a birth certificate. You're a slave too, and we're gonna treat you like one too. And that's just it. Because
mm,
you gotta think about this. It goes back to something I was saying from before. This is a corporation, and continents are the largest corporations that we have on Earth, right? So they're doing 100-year projections, right? Smaller businesses, 50 years, smaller than that, 25, smaller than that, 10 to 5, right? Depending
yeah,
on the,
they showed you that with the recent WEF piece.
there it is.
Yeah.
So, they've been through this stuff. That's why Obama could have told you, and people need to go back and check that. Don't believe me. He said it himself. He came out publicly and he said, prepare yourself for a pandemic. Now, if the pandemic was so spontaneous and it happened with people eating bats and all that trash, right? How can he predict that? How can he say that? He said that America will function like a third world nation, which it has, right? We've watched them, pull back on police force, claiming through brutality that they actually imposed to pull back, right? And make room for ICE, because you actually have police officers that's correcting ICE and checking ICE agents when they see them, even fighting with them over the general, over protecting the general public in some places.
Mm.
So
I have
it's
a
all
question.
systematic.
Hold that thought, bro.
Uh-huh.
I'll jump back with you in a minute, brother Mozzie. Let me ask you a question based on what brother Rue was saying. Tennessee, right? Nashville, not Nashville. What's the other main city? Memphis.
Louisville.
Memphis, right? Memphis, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the whole piece where they weren't no law enforcement after 12 o'clock. From 12 to 6, 7 in the morning, no law enforcement.
Yeah, I heard
Right?
about that.
Yeah, that was last year, right? And that was a big deal. Made big news. Nobody thought anything like that was possible. But then again, they went ahead and did it again in Baltimore, right? Or my Be More people, my Be More family down there, right? And how do they have money for ICE, but they ain't got money for Memphis and they don't have money for Baltimore cops after hours?
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts?
The main reason why is because America prints money when they need to.
Mm.
Part of what has to happen is we have to continue to kind of bankrupt the country, even though we're already pretty much on the brink of bankruptcy. We don't have any money. We're running, $30 trillion deficits. It's all part of the overall plan, which is everyone's going to be a prisoner on the planet anyway. All the stuff that we're seeing today is things that's been talked about over the years, or the various groups. The WEF talks about it right now. But dealing with the situation with the sister, and going to, as I stated earlier, we have to be smarter. And the reason why, based on that book you talked about earlier, that you showed me earlier, we're intellectually lazy. That's why we find ourselves constantly in these situations. We're looking for the TikTok bite. We're looking for the Twitter feed. We're looking for someone to tell us in between on the commercial of the 165 channels that we got on TV that we're sitting around watching all day long. And so that's where we run into problems. We don't think as a people anymore. We used to be strategic in a lot of things we did at one point. We're not anymore. Like I said before, when that sister went there, did she go there with the, because, sisters think they can do and say anything they want to say in this world today. Did she go in there with that chip on her shoulder? Or did she go in there as a representative? And like I told you earlier, as a representative, she would have made sure she had the people around her to help insulate her from that kind of stuff. And she didn't.
Right. Interesting.
Also, we got to remember, this collective is moving based on what the president say, not what the House of Representatives have to say or anybody in Congress got to say. They move on what the president has to say. And the president done gave them orders to move out and do particular things. So they already have the order from the president. And what judge in the United States is going to go against the actual president and say that, oh, I didn't sanction this, or I didn't sanction that, or I didn't sign off on this or sign off on that, And who's to say that these ICE dudes don't just sign documents themselves? Because how many people actually get hit, get a warrant and actually know how to check if the warrant is real or not? Or and when you find out it's fake, who do you run to when the orders was called down by the president of the corporation? You're just a part of the moving piece. You're not an equal to him. Technically, you're supposed to be, because it's a three-part government. So what's going on now shouldn't be going on. But when you're the executive branch and you're rubbing elbows with the judicial, I mean, these people party together,
In various ways. But
yeah, they got baby oil parties together,
It's interesting too.
They bathing in oil. And I just want to add one thing to what you were saying earlier, Mazi. Now, he said that we're basically bankrupt, right? This is true indeed, because this is why America is going after foreign nations' oil pools. Because remember, we don't have backing on the American dollar anymore. We don't have gold. We don't, they removed all of those resources in Nixon era.
Yeah, he did. Trump just manipulated silver just recently.
Exactly. So,
well, just remember this too. The money, the big fallacy is the dollar's not backed by anything. The dollar was backed by something. It was backed by petroleum.
Exactly.
They always tell us that all the time. The dollar's not backed on it. Now, we did have debt-based financing that's going on and budgeting in this country, but it is backed by the one thing that we use a lot of, which was petroleum.
Yeah.
And the reason why that has to change now is because now everybody's trying to get that resource. But, I don't know if you guys heard in the news, but Trump is moving, is trying to move our GDP over to the blockchain.
Yeah, I heard. Yep.
And And so what he's going to do, in my opinion, to solve our debt crisis is he's going to allow for that to crash, but he's going to move our economy to the digital economy. That's why all these stable coins, they're telling us you don't want to be bothered with crypto and digital currency. We're going to run away from it thinking it's bad. The dollar's not going to have any real value. And then they're going to buy up all the crypto and be once again in control of the money, all the digital money that's out there.
Yeah, because the dollar ain't worth jack now.
No, it's not. But so we have to be, people need to understand, get in the market. If do like I've done for the past 10 years, $20 a week is buying crypto. And you'll be amazed at how much crypto you can accumulate over 10 years just buying it and holding it. Get you a cold storage wallet so you don't have, so it doesn't get, jacked on one of these platforms that they got out here. But we have to be smarter once again to look at what's going on in this country and where things are going so that we can better be able to weather the storm in the future. And right now, a lot of us just are lost with that. So they got us caught up into so much other stuff, because you see what one of the things about Donald Trump, we say Donald Trump is doing all this stuff. Donald Trump isn't that smart. Now, he got some smart people around him. And then he also has some constitutionalists around him. And then, if you notice the way ICE is set up, they're going back to laws of the 1800s and the early 1900s before the amendment. And that's the stuff that they're enacting.
There you go.
And they're saying, this is what we can do. Nobody's used that law in 200 years. Well, it's on the books. We can use it.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff. And so while we're caught up in all of that, there are major changes taking place. Major changes to the economic system that further pushes the social credit system that is coming upon us. That's why everybody in New York State has to get an electric meter, because you don't pay your bill, or you may have used too much of your energy for the month, because when they're going to allot you but so many kilowatts, boom, I shut you down. They just put in the House just passed the bill that every new car must have a kill switch in it. What does that mean? Remember the movie with I think it was Fast and the Furious, when the guy went and hacked into all the cars, they're driving all out the building, out the parking garage onto the street. That's why it was important. Even back in 1985, they said no car that's older than 1985 should be on the streets. That's when they started putting the CPU units in them. Now they've gotten more advanced, and that's why I tell people, you can go out there and get all those fancy electronics all you want. You can be riding down the street and some little young kid gonna sit there and commandeer your car one day, and you're gonna be wondering what the hell just happened. But the government is going to have access by law to every new vehicle that exists from this point on.
Hey, let's check that out real quick.
Something you'd expect out of Orwell's 1984, and yet 57 House Republicans joined Democrats to ensure the government can shut off your vehicle whenever it wants, makes cars more expensive, and puts the government in your car.
There's a law that states that every vehicle manufactured is going to have a kill switch in it. The car itself will monitor your driving, and if the car thinks that you're not doing a good job driving, it will disable itself. So the car dashboard becomes your judge, your jury, and your executioner.
This sounds an awful lot like that new movie Mercy that just came out, which takes place in the not so distant future, 2029 to be exact, where he has to prove himself innocent to the AI judge, jury, and executioner. Now, this mandate for vehicles to be able to shut themselves off was actually put into law in 2021 under the Biden administration, under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Now, what was voted on the 22nd was the funding for this, to which Representative Massey from Kentucky offered an amendment to just the funding for the kill switch portion of the Investment and Jobs Act. And that's what was voted on. And this is how the votes went. So these are all the ones that voted against stopping the funding, and these are all the ones that voted for stopping the funding for kill switches. Now, the argument for this is that it will stop drunk and distracted driving, but no one knows yet how far this technology will go. Will it include cameras? Will it include sensors? Will it include breathalyzers? Will your insurance company have access to?
All right, I think we get it. The Hegelian dialectic. I'm gonna create the problem and show you the solution. You know what I mean?
Yep, that's what they do.
And
That's
here's
why
another thing.
alcohol is here.
And here's another thing I don't know if people realize. Biden put this in under the Infrastructure Act. Here we trying to fix the roads and everything else, and you slide this stuff in. That's why it's important to watch all these presidents. Remember Obama. Some people don't want to talk about the Frank Dodd Act under President Obama. That stated that in the if there is a national economic emergency, the federal government can commandeer all bank accounts, take everybody's money.
Better get you a Honeywell. Better get you a
Honeywell. But that's why they don't want. That's why, because around that same time is when crypto really took off. Because they had to create something that was decentralized, that would not give the government the opportunity to take all your funds. Because once they take all your funds, they now issue you your social credits or your universal basic income for the month. And if you guys want to see a funny kind of goofy show, there's a show out there called Universal Basic Brothers. And it's these two guys that basically on Universal, it's like a cartoon, I think. And there's two guys they get the basic universal income, whatever that thing is called. And basically they're trying to show what the world would be like through these two guys if people never had to do nothing for the money that they earned. Now go ahead.
I think I could put that on if y'all want to check out a portion of it.
Go for it. It's stupid, but it's funny. It's one of those kind of stupid, funny kind of shows, but it's something real serious that's being done. Because as Nelly Fuller once said, they will show you what the world's like, what's going on, what went on, and what's about to go on. And they always put it in television. And we got to remember that Hollywood, for the longest, has always been tied into military intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
People want to talk about that kind of stuff, but, all you got to do is just do your research and explain it away.
All right. Let me know. Can y'all see that?
Not yet.
Factor, you figure they still need a technician, right?
Yeah, well.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Whoa, is that the friggin' Hoagie Brothers?
Hey, Artie. How's it going, Artie?
Keeping busy.
I still can't believe they let you go, man. I mean, with all those new robots, the factory, you figure they still need a technician, right?
Yeah, well, apparently those Humantis robots got other robots who do the fixing.
Wait, so who fixes the robots to fix the robots?
It's robots all the way down, Hank.
Whoa.
So I know yous ain't here for a welfare check. What do yous need?
I call it the exoskeleton of life.
What is it? Mr. Frick.
So y'all get the point.
Yeah, and basically just a bunch of dudes just go. They ain't got nothing to do with themselves but to make up shit.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Don't got to go to
For
work
sure.
every day. But hey, did I ever send you that link of the Asian girl who gets up in the morning and she didn't have enough credit for the things she needed to do that day? And then every time she would get mad and it's like, oh, you have now owe us so many credits and you can't do this for today. Did I ever send
Right.
you that?
No, but there was an episode of Black Mirror, the sci-fi series,
Yeah.
and the white girl was trying to go to her friend's wedding, and she was in this like hyper crypto credit universe, and everything that she did was a negative. So they just kept deleting, and then they eventually just put her in jail.
Yeah.
It was like this whirlwind thing that she went on. She couldn't plug in her car. She couldn't do this. She couldn't buy the dress. She couldn't do everything under the sun. And then they finally wind up putting her in jail. But they just unveiled this thing through the Exim Bank, the Project Vault, where they're going up and down the Western Hemisphere, looting it for all of its resources. And the reason why I titled the show this is because I wanted to know from our intelligent panel and our intelligent audience if when Larry Fink started talking about tokenomics, tokening nature, tokening water, land, rocks, natural resources beyond what they do now, not just the Dasani water in your local store, but if you want to sit under the shade at a tree, it's going to cost you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's 90 degrees and 99 degrees and there's a particular breeze in a particular area, to stand in that area is going to cost you. So do y'all think the tokenage? Because you notice Trump is not on that take over Greenland stuff no more after he left the WEF. Now he's on this uh Project Vault stuff, right? So now he wants to harbor all the natural resources for themselves. Do y'all think that that's a move toward the final tokenization of things that we talked about maybe a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago?
It's the final piece as we now start to creating the 15-minute cities in the prison planet where we can control all your movement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. And see, that's one of the reasons why, um, everyone we're talking about the 100 years of, you know, original People's History Month, and we're celebrating that to whatever extent that takes us. Um, are we really spending enough time concentrating and developing our future?
Right. Well, we're what's the song by Stevie Wonder? Pastime Paradise.
Mm.
And what does the
Mm-hmm.
lyrics say? He was just sitting in a pastime paradise,
Mm-hmm.
just waiting.
Interesting. Interesting.
So,
Yeah. So
for those who said that
mhm.
Stevie can see, well, he must can see something because that song is right on point.
Yeah. Some decades later, for sure, for sure. Yeah, man. So they had the Janovic dude who's in charge of the import export bank that America controls, and they're gonna hand out credit to all these other type of nations. You know what? I'll just show you out a clip, and it's curious what the guy said in the clip. I wanted to get y'all opinion on it. This guy Joel Jonavac or John Jonavac, whatever his name is, he's talking about what Trump wants to do with this particular Project Vault, and it's almost like the seed extraction that you know uh,
Mm-hmm.
Tesla was doing years ago. Um, Taking one seed of every food in the world, and well, check it out.
Together and create the first ever strategic critical minerals reserve in American history. But it was an enormous challenge, not simply because it hadn't been done before, but we knew that we had to design it in a way that was scalable, that can be designed for long-term success, and that would help domestic mining industry, refining, processing, all catalyze that activity. But most importantly, President Trump wanted it delivered in a way that wasn't subsidized by the American people. And so what we were forced to think very differently about this problem. And we actually scoured the world, examining and studying every single model that was out there for critical reserves and various public-private partnerships. And candidly, Morgan, we didn't find anything that really uniquely fit America. And so Project Vault, what really does is it creates a public-private partnership formula we think is uniquely suited and puts America's best foot forward. So it brings together our robust capital markets, which are the deepest and the best in the world, but it also brings in the original equipment manufacturers, those OEMs, as partners. And so since they're the ones benefiting the most from our strategic reserve, they're the ones making the long-term financial commitment to it. The Export-Import Bank of the United States is making a $10 billion loan. That financing also unlocks private sector capital, which earns a return that's commensurate with the risk. And so what it does is it creates a scenario, Maureen, where there are no free riders. Everybody pitches in to solve this huge problem.
No free riders.
Nah, I think that's interesting.
I think that's very interesting.
But you know,
He's calling in all of the countries that owe America, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of these Latin American countries, all of these Scandinavian countries, the Canadian provinces. Time to pay up.
Well, you know, the one thing that I would say, if you're looking at things from a geopolitical perspective, I don't think it's Trump. It's those who's behind Trump. They're on top of this. They're really on top of the geopolitics right now.
Yep.
And one of the things that they are doing that Democrats would never do and have never thought about doing, I don't think. Like, listen, we can't continue to take care of you as a country. So if you want certain things that you've been afforded, it's time to pay up.
Right. We can't let you just float that invisible loan money. We need you to pay up. So you could pay up through the mineral resources, or you can pay up another way, but it's time to pay up.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't want me to be the planetary goon and take over, areas of South America and Greenland and Canada. Okay, well then, fork over some natural resources. Fork over that, that lithium and that cobalt up in Canada.
Yeah. We may not like it, but hey.
Here's a map of some of those reserves, and how rich some of the tundra is up in Canada that's just kind of sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, America's gonna get the picking at it. You know what I mean? America's gonna get they're gonna get the succubus machines out, and here we go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we keep receipts. This country keeps receipts.
Yes, sir. So one of the things I wanted to ask y'all is, what does that tokenomics that Larry Fink talked about? Because that didn't go nowhere. That's still in play. What does that look like for people like us that don't have real agency or real ownership in this country? What does that look like? Are we just gonna have to pay more at the pump, or is this gonna be, almost like, separate but equal is equal? Like, you're shut out of certain doors because you simply can't, you simply are not in the rooms with the right people, or you're not the right class of people. What does that look like for our folks, original people? What does that look like?
It looks like, we're screwed because we have not thought about anything beyond, entertainment. And so what that's going to happen is we're going to have to figure out, how do we get involved? But what it does is it really just puts us in a position to where we're 21st century slaves all over again. I mean, it's just slavery by any other name.
Right.
It's just rebranded and it's slavery of the new world, new technological world.
Right, right.
Because we're going to be, because we don't save, because we don't engage, because we don't think, we're going to find ourselves as the universal basic guys. You know what I mean?
Jeez.
Here's your money for the month. We're going and as you know, as they're building these 15-minute cities, you're going to be locked out depending on where you are. If you're within in that 15-minute city, that's one thing. But also remember too, one of the things that is happening in this country is outside of the cities, a lot of these complexes and things of that nature, they now are allowing us to move in them. And because we don't think, we think we all know people who like to say, "Oh, I don't live in the city." They want to brag that they live in the suburbs somewhere. Well, the suburbs is going to be the out the the what do you call the land outside where it's like the desert barren land where people are going to be living.
The
All the activity,
Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
right? You're going to be outside of all the activity.
On some Book of Eli type stuff.
Yeah, and so when you're thinking that, okay, I'm going to be able to, they're going to control your movements, and you probably won't even have enough to even get into the city. Because although they're going to create these cities the way they are, they're going to be very well protected, and we're not going to be able to get in. And when you go to Europe, you'll find, especially like in France and places like, if you ever been to England, what do they all live in? Most people in England live in urban housing projects. They're all over England. You know what I mean? You go to London
they call them flats.
Right. They're everywhere,
because they don't have a second story.
Right.
Yeah.
And then what ends up happening if you go to like France, for example, when you come to France, you don't live in the city. You have to live outside in some complex. Let's use like New York City, for example. You would be living, say, downtown Manhattan, and everybody, when you first move into the city, to the area, you got to go live up in Co-op City. And there's barriers that won't let you downtown until you get to the level. And it's going to be that kind of thing, man. I mean, it's already in place in Europe, and they're building like that now here. So, and then with Section 8 money, things of that nature, before you couldn't spend your Section 8 money out in the suburbs. Now they're taking that money left and right. You go out here in Rochester, you go out in Greece, all those complexes out there now take Section 8. And there's tons of them.
Yeah,
and then the dividing line is Ridge Road, East Ridge Road. You set up
Yeah, that's been the fallacy of Greece, the facade, right? House poor. A lot of house poor people out there.
Yeah.
So I want to do this one last thing, and it's more or less a statement. Brother Reza Islam had this to say. While they go after the Epsteins in their community, let's make sure we go after the ones in ours. So as we imagine a new future, as we imagine another 100 years of Original People's History Month, are we brave enough to go after our M&Ms, our clowns? Here we got this sexy red character talking about she's going to perform for Trump's top advisors at a wedding at Mar-a-Lago. This is goofball stuff, in my opinion, only because I can't imagine that a Trump audience will want to hear what she had, her form of entertainment. What are y'all thoughts about that?
But she don't mind getting greased up, so why not invite her?
Right.
But you're right. We need to go after the Epsteins in our community. And we know for a fact that we all know one or have an idea that there may be one, and we have to address that. And because I have a daughter, I make sure, and people say, well, what if you didn't have a daughter? Well, I do. And the reality is I'm always addressing those issues around making sure that our girls stay safe.
Yeah, like I brought up an idea with all that Diddy crap, right? That was going on, and now he's behind bars and whatever else. Brother Godspeed was on the show at that point, and I was talking about, we need to go back to our old, you know, like you said before, take a page out of the old way that we used to do things, and there was a tribunal, there was a street judgment
Mm-hmm.
of people who wasn't doing good for the community, and there was either an appraisal or a banishment. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we really need to go back to those sorts of ways that we hold people accountable for what they do and don't do with the community, man. Because it's just disgusting at this point. You know what I
But
mean? Hmm.
the highest institution in our community has been sanctioning it for years.
Yes. Yeah,
So
for
that's where
sure.
we run into the problem.
For sure. For sure. Well, that's why I'm suggesting going outside of that, because those
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
old institutions are ineffective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I
man.
told you, when I was in college, freshman year, I found out that there was a tribunal if a sister
Hmm.
got abused on campus.
Hmm.
Next,
Yep.
you don't know when it's gonna happen, but
Yep.
eventually you're gonna get a knock at your door, and a bunch of brothers with some ski masks gonna come and beat you down, and they're gonna explain to you,
Yeah.
why you getting the beat down. And I
Hmm.
knew two brothers personally uh, that I knew of that they got beat down, left campus, man, never came back. Yo, you're not gonna put your hands on sisters. We don't do that here. We're here
Right.
for higher learning. We're here to grow. All this other kind of stuff. That caveman shit you could take someplace else.
Right. Right.
And brother put his hands on the sister, and it was the ass beating man heard around campus.
Yeah, man. It's almost like that old Spike Lee movie, The Drop Squad. Y'all remember that?
Yes, yes.
Brother
Oh
Brew, you
yeah.
remember that? Did you happen to put your eyes on that once upon a time?
The Drop Squad?
Yeah, it was an old
Yeah,
Spike Lee movie with Ving Rhames and a couple of other famous faces.
Damon Wayans and
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know the joint.
yeah, yeah. It's I'm
Yeah, we're
saying,
gonna have to drop squad some brothers, man.
yeah, I was
Well,
responding to what Riza Islam said, because everybody's going crazy over the revealing the Epstein nonsense, right? And we knew he was conducting a lot of nonsense. He was a social pariah and he was a power monger, but everybody's so consumed in that. Are we consumed with the ones that are doing damage to our community immediately? You know what I mean? Yeah.
well, I'm always with the brother. I mean, for me, my foundation is Nation Islam, so I'll always be with the brothers as long as they right and exact.
Hmm.
Um, but this is something that I've been saying for years, from childhood. I never respected the brothers. I've stepped to one or two brothers in my own neighborhood, thinking that my friends would have backed me and they were all suckers. But when
Mm.
I would see brothers abuse sisters that they were with in my neighborhood, you know, I had even a homie that came up with me partially in Long Island, because I lived two other places before Long Island. He I come to find out that he be moving like a pedophile, and I caught him. You know what I'm saying? And I ran up
Mm.
on him.
Wow.
Going by the Hempstead Middle School. He's gone now. He passed on. He got murdered actually by a girl that he was dating. That I told him not to date her. Because when he first met her, she was a bopper to begin with. Meaning teenager. And I told him, I said, "Yo, bro, we in our 20s, bro. We don't mess with boppers. Keep it moving. And he laughed it off, took a number, and 6 to 7 years later, she's the cause of his death. But
Mm.
due to a jealous boyfriend, right?
Hmm.
But I saw him by the middle school hollering at a girl that was living in the building next to mine. And I told him, I said, "Yo, bro, you know she go to the middle school, bro. What are you doing? You know?" And he's like, yo, rude man, you be bugging, man. And he pulled off. So I went about my business and I see her approaching the building and I see his car again. So I stepped to him again, like, yo, bro, you can't be doing this over here, bro. Like, yo, leave Shorty alone. Cause she was a big girl. But I'm like, yo, bro, that's a bopper, bro. Like, we don't do that, bro. You know?
Right.
And, it caught up to him, literally,
Mm-hmm.
So I ain't never been with none of that. And in
Right.
Trinidad, I've done me and my cousins, we've done handle people already in our neighborhood like that. I had an aunt who passed on, Miss Rome, lived around across the street from me. She by herself stoned, like two big stones, and beat down a pedophile that was,
Mm-hmm.
running through our neighborhood. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
grew up in Trinidad where pedophiles is on the loose, everybody's looking out for them. And we
Exactly.
beat them, to death, bro. They cry for the police to come and pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
They wish the
Mm-hmm.
police catch them, So I'm all for that. The issue in America, though, people hate what I gotta say about it, but bro, another vice that they're allowing freely to happen that will make you mentally lax and physically lax because a muscle relaxant in nature is marijuana. So I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
aligning
Mm.
myself to go to war with brothers
Mm.
that's smoked out. And look, I smoke my fair share of trees in my life too, but that's how I know what to do, right? But there's a time and place for everything, and
Correct.
our people in the United States abuse marijuana, bro. That's why their brains is so lax and they're so docile now. Anything happens around them, they just numb to it because they're smoked out, bro. and
Mm.
and and then you got to look at this, these elites, they got smart. They realized that the generations before watched, everybody who from our era that was in the 80s that smoked crack, and they're like, yo, these kids, they're we make jokes about it, we show it on TV, blah blah blah. They're moving away from it. We can't use crack no more to fiend them out. We need something else. So what did they
Mm-hmm.
do? They gave all the kids, look at the candies. They gave all the kids that look like pills, bro. And what
Mm.
happened? Pill Nation. So who
Right.
who ain't on oxys is on this and that and you know
Yeah.
ecstasy and
It was so prevalent. They made the HBO show about it with the Zendaya and all the rest of them.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
see,
Euphoria. Is
because
that show crazy?
Euphoria.
Oh
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
man.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is.
That's
Pill
yep.
You
Nation.
15 years old and you coming out. You spent your summer in rehab.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
they make it easily accessible. I remember back in the day, you couldn't get no synthetic drugs out in the street, but
Right.
they made it so accessible, So, the reality is, me personally, I never thought slavery ever stopped. It just changes form to suit
Mm.
the conglomerate. And
Mm.
the only way that anything is really going to happen in this world, and I'm not saying that it got to come by a gun, but what I'm saying is we got to be intelligent and understand who the enemy is. And the enemy is these people that we see on these televisions that we be praising up and voting for and thinking that they're our representatives and this mindset of a human being that thinks that they know what's right and best for another human being, you got to question that, bro. You got to question that. There's something wrong with that mentality that you think that you're here to control other human beings. That's a warped mentality. I don't know what type of mental disease they'll call that, but it is that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's affecting millions around the world. So until people, this is just bandages, getting rid of pedophiles in our neighborhood and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's just a bandage, bro. Like, me personally, I think they use, like back in the day when they had this movie, the horror movie, when they put pig blood in it and everybody was throwing up. uh Exorcist, right? Exorcist or Exorcism or whatever that movie was. The first one,
It
they
was
put
several
pig
of them.
blood.
Several of them when they did that.
Right. So to me, that was the original testing. Can we do something on film where people don't actually see it with the naked eye because it's moving that fast, right? And but we get the effect that we want. And I think they use that to this day. So sometimes when we think pedophiles are just born this way, who's to say they're not manufacturing them through means of things that they might be watching? You
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
understand? Like,
I don't know if you guys, there was a study that was done a number of years ago. One of the brothers on one of the radio stations I listened to, he actually broke it down on how Disney promotes hypersexuality and pedophilia
Mm-hmm.
so
and the imagery and the
see,
cartoons.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And you know, all the different little things that we're dealing with. I think personally that people need to turn the TV off for real. And then we use this social media stuff, right?
Come on,
a-
man.
As a
I just
means.
bought a 75 inch. How you gonna tell me to turn my TV
Yeah,
off?
I feel you. You know what I'm saying?
That's
I
how
think
people
people need
think,
to,
man. They got
yeah, they
75,
do.
65, and 55 in every room.
They do. Because if you remember, I remember when Sandy happened, right? In my building. And I'm telling you, not just children, from grown-ups all the way down to children. They were acting crazy, bro. When they didn't have no electricity. They didn't even know how to make electricity. I had a car battery and I was trying to show people like, yo, you can make electricity if you want electricity, but take this time and do something else with your life, you know? And so many people were fiend out. They was going through withdrawals. I'll go down in my lobby and I'm just watching all these different nationalities of people in my building, all different age groups, fiend out, you know,
Mm.
watching their phones, all kind of stuff. All they was doing was talking about the technology not being on. And I was like, see, addiction comes in many ways and there's many type of drugs, you know? And that's what it is. Americans are doped, are doped. Everybody is has a vice of some sort, brother. And we watch each other and we nitpick each other. I was just telling somebody the other day, you know, my dad had friends that went on crack and he used to go and feed them. And he used to take me. And some of these people, I remember them before they was on crack. I've seen them while they was on crack. They would tell me stories and all of this other stuff, right? And how they got addicted and all this other stuff, how they feel. So I grew up in such a way where I see crackheads and I don't think I'm better than them, and I don't think they're stupid for what they're doing. You know, it is what it is. People,
Chemical dependency.
chemical dependency, right? But I look at it and I say to myself, what's so different when I heard their stories and then I watched all those people during Sandy fiend out off of their electronics. I'm like, it's the same thing. They're doing the same thing, going through the same thing. I see people looking at their phone talking to themselves, bro. you
Yeah.
know and I'm just
Yeah.
like, wow, look, they're fiends, bro. So that's another thing we need to deal with. That if you feel like you have some addiction to anything, you need to work on that. It could be food even. I have friends that tell me, Ruben, you're telling me to stop eating rice? What are you talking about? I said, well, if you don't want diabetes, well, you're a diabetic already. you
Right.
know Rice is sugar. What? I can't do so. What am I going to eat this with if I don't eat it with rice? you know so addictions is all over the place, bro. So we all drugged somehow, right? And that's the issue. These people have gotten us to a point where we're all drugged up many different ways through our five senses somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to deal with our own personal addictions to get back
Mm-hmm.
strong to be able to do anything, because the spell is real, bro.
The spell is real. Hey, man, this
Yeah.
was a dope episode. Join us next time when we do another mental detox called the Real HD Show. You know, so as we move forward in the rest of the 21st century, and we celebrating these years of original people history month, we could do it with some purpose, some development, and focused on liberation. So for everybody that's on the show, everybody at home, y'all timestamp, y'all like, share, subscribe, comment, turn on all your notifications. So every time we have another Real HD show, y'all could jump in and we can have a higher discussion. Not just me, Brother Rube, and Mozzie. We need everybody in here. All right,
Yeah,
y'all.
please.
Peace and love,
All right.
man. Y'all walk
Peace.
with power.
Peace, y'all.
Later.